This story was posted on Reddit 4 months ago by a user whose account was later suspended. The post was titled, "I buried a body in my backyard 2 years ago, and I think someone knows." I know how this sounds. I know people will immediately assume I'm just looking for attention or trolling, and frankly, I don't care anymore. I can't keep this secret buried, pun not intended, any longer. The guilt, the paranoia, the dreams. I'm starting to feel like someone is watching me, listening, maybe even waiting for the right time to come for me. It happened in the summer of 2022, right after I turned 24. I was working part-time at a local hardware store just outside of Richmond, Virginia. Nothing glamorous. My life was quiet, uneventful. That is, until I met him. His name was Derek. He came into the store a few times a week, always looking for something obscure. He had this way of talking, really charming, like the kind of guy who could sell you your own wallet back for double the price. He started chatting me up, and within a couple of weeks we were drinking together, smoking weed behind the store after hours. He was magnetic, addictive, but Derek had a dark side. It showed in flickers at first. Little things like how he laughed when a stray cat got hit outside the shop, or the way he talked about women. One night, we were drinking at my place and he told me something that made my skin crawl. He said he once held a guy underwater during a fight, just to see what it felt like to be God. He laughed afterward. I didn't. I should have cut him off right there. But I didn't. Part of me was terrified of him. Another part was curious. A few weeks later, Derek showed up at my house, panicked. I still remember the way his hands were shaking, his shirt soaked with something dark and crusted. He said he needed help, that he accidentally killed someone. Some drifter, he claimed. A guy who tried to mug him near an abandoned overpass off Route 33. I didn't know what to do. He said the cops wouldn't believe him, that they'd think it was murder, that we needed to make the body disappear. My house backed up into a thick patch of woods, and beyond that was just a long, empty lot that belonged to nobody I knew. So we dragged the body, wrapped in an old tarp, into my backyard that night. We dug for hours. I was crying the whole time. Derek kept humming some tune, something off-key, over and over. I remember the sound the shovel made when it hit the bones of tree roots. That crunch, the way the earth smelled, how heavy the air felt, like it was trying to hold us there. We buried him 4 feet down, covered it with mulch and some scrap wood. Derek made me swear never to tell a soul. That night, I didn't sleep. I couldn't. I kept seeing the guy's face, even though I'd barely looked. The worst part, a part of me felt relieved, like it was over, like we had gotten away with something. Except it wasn't over. A week later, Derek disappeared. I mean completely. Phone dead, apartment empty, job quit, like he'd never existed. I was too scared to report him. What would I even say? That I helped him bury a body and now he ghosted me? So I went on pretending. Months passed. I moved on. I even started dating a girl named Alicia who lived across town. Things were okay. Until the night I came home and found a small pile of dirt in the middle of my living room floor. Not mud, not potting soil, fresh earth, like someone had dug it up and dropped it there. At first I thought maybe my dog got into something, but he was at my mom's that weekend. Then came the notes, folded pieces of paper in my mailbox. No envelope, just one sentence in each. I know what you did. He's not as dead as you think. Dig. The handwriting was uneven, like it was written with the hand of someone either drunk or angry or both. I didn't tell anyone. Not Alicia, not my co-workers, not even my therapist, whom I had started seeing after the incident. But I started noticing things, small things. My back gate open when I knew I had locked it. My shovel, the same one we used, moved slightly in the shed. muddy footprints on my back deck. One night, I got a call from a blocked number. When I picked up, all I heard was someone breathing. Not heavy breathing, just soft, controlled, like they wanted me to know they were there. I screamed into the phone, cursed, threatened, but they didn't hang up, just breathed for another full minute, then ended the call. I started digging up the yard 3 nights later. The grave was empty. There was nothing there. No tarp, no bones, no body, just disturbed earth and a small metal lighter I had never seen before. It was engraved, "Derek lives." I threw up. Right there in the yard. Alicia left me 2 days later. Said I was slipping into something scary. I didn't blame her. Now I wake up most nights around 3 a.m., hearing the creak of floorboards downstairs. I sleep with a bat next to my bed. I don't know if Derek is alive or if someone else knows, or if I'm losing my mind completely. But I needed to tell someone. I buried a body in my backyard, and someone knows. I hadn't even noticed how tight I was gripping the shovel until my fingers started going numb. After the first few days, the ground above the body began to settle. Just like the guilt in my chest, I tried convincing myself I'd done the world a favor, that nobody would miss a guy like Logan. But that silence in the backyard at night, man, it didn't feel peaceful. It felt watchful. I stopped going near that patch of grass. Couldn't even look at it. The grass grew darker there, thicker, like it was feeding off him. I know how that sounds. I know what people would think. But after the second week, I swear to God, I started hearing footsteps in the hallway at night. Software measured, always stopping right before my bedroom door. And then there was the dirt. That goddamn dirt. I'd sweep the kitchen and somehow there'd be clumps of mud by the back door in the morning. I don't even wear shoes inside. It was like something was coming in, dragging that same grave dirt with it. I tried laughing it off. Maybe I was just unraveling. Then one night, I woke up to find the back door wide open. I sleep with it bolted, always. It was just open, cold wind breezing in, the yard pitch black. But I swear I saw someone standing by that patch of darker grass, still facing the house. I closed the door, locked it 3 times, and sat with my back to it till morning. And then came the maggots in my bathroom sink, my coffee cup. I'd find one crawling on my pillow, just one, every time, like a sick message. I hadn't even used the shed in weeks, but when I opened it, there were hundreds of them on the floor, right above where I'd buried him. I couldn't take it anymore. I told my friend Jonah everything over a few drinks, thought maybe just saying it out loud would lift the weight. But Jonah laughed, said I was full of it, that I needed therapy, not attention. So I did what any panicked idiot would do. I made an anonymous Reddit account and posted it all, word for word. The fight, the backyard, the body, the footsteps, even the goddamn maggots. People commented like it was creepypasta, called me a good writer. Some said I should sell the movie rights. Movie rights? I literally admitted to killing a guy and burying him like a dog, and they thought it was fiction. It was kind of funny. Until 2 days later, the doorbell rang. I wasn't expecting anyone, and when I looked through the peephole, there were 2 plainclothes men standing there. No smiles, no badges shown, just a calm, chilling request. "Mr. Ellis, we'd like to ask you a few questions about something you posted online." My blood froze. I had scrubbed everything, cleared my search history, used a VPN. I was anonymous. At least, I thought I was. They didn't arrest me on the spot, just asked me to come down to the station, said it was routine. But the way they looked at me, they knew. And that night when I got home, the patch in the backyard was dug up. I never did that. I never touched it again after I buried him. There was no body, no bones, just an open hole, and something was watching me from the tree line. I couldn't see its face, but it was standing just outside the porch light's reach, breathing. I didn't sleep. I didn't eat. I just waited. And the next night, the hole was filled back in, perfectly, like nothing ever happened. The next morning, I didn't even step outside. I just stared out the kitchen window at the filled-in grave. Grass laid flat, no sign of digging, no mud, no shovel marks, just a perfect patch, like someone had smoothed it out with care. And I swear there was steam rising from it. I tried calling Jonah. No answer. I sent texts, voicemails, even drove by his place, but he wasn't there. His car was still in the driveway, but the house was silent. Lights off, curtains drawn. It's like he vanished. And then the police showed up again. This time they didn't ask me anything. They just handed me a search warrant. They tore up the backyard. I stood on my porch watching them with shaking hands, waiting to see bones or a skull, or even just blood-stained dirt. But they found nothing. The lead officer looked me dead in the eyes and said, "You need help, son. There's no one here. No one ever was." They left without charging me. Told me if I posted anything else online, they'd consider it a cry for help and send psych services to do a wellness check. But something is wrong here. The next night, I heard whispering outside my bedroom window. 3 soft knocks on the glass. When I looked, there was a figure standing on the other side. Not Logan, not anyone I recognized, just a man with a bag over his head, breathing heavy, shoulders heaving like he'd run for miles. And when I turned on the porch light, he was gone. No footsteps in the dew, no prints in the dirt. I started recording everything, audio, not video, just to have something. But every night I played it back, it was the same thing. Static, whispers, and then a voice, not mine. You can't bury guilt. It grows. I lost my job. I stopped answering the door. I don't sleep more than 2 hours at a time. And then I found something this morning that made my stomach drop. On the floor of my kitchen, just under the table, was Jonah's wallet. I hadn't seen him in days, weeks maybe. I opened it. His ID was gone. All the cards stripped out. Just one thing left, a photo of the backyard taken from above, like someone had climbed a tree or used a drone. I flipped it over, and on the back was written in shaky black ink, "You should have stayed buried too." Now I'm writing this from my phone because my power's out. My door is barricaded, and I swear to God, there's someone walking around in my attic. I live alone, and I can't call the cops. Because what do I say? Hey, I murdered someone, buried them, and now the house is haunted by something I can't explain. They already think I'm crazy, so I'm leaving this here. Maybe it's real, maybe it's not. But I needed someone to know the truth before I disappear too, because I don't think I'll be here tomorrow. And if someone is reading this, don't go near the backyard. This story was posted on Reddit 6 months ago by a user who has since deleted their account. No one knows if it was real or fiction, but the details were too specific, too honest to ignore. I wasn't planning to write this. I don't even like talking about it, but I haven't slept properly in days. And I swear, something followed me back. My uncle died 3 weeks ago. Heart attack. He was 62, lived alone in this creaky 2-story house on the edge of an old mining town in Pennsylvania. The kind of place that feels like time just stopped. He was a weird guy, honestly. Never married, barely left the house, had no friends I knew of. But he was family, and when he passed, my mom asked me to go down there and help clean the place up. She didn't want to step foot in that house again. Couldn't blame her. I took a few days off work, drove 6 hours, and planned to knock it out in a weekend. Just box up his things, maybe donate the junk, and get out. Simple. But the moment I stepped inside, It felt off. The air was thick, not dusty, more like heavy, like walking into a room where someone had just been arguing or crying. That kind of pressure. I brushed it off, told myself I was just tired from the drive. The house was old school, faded wallpaper, ugly green carpeting, one of those long-ass couches that looks like it's from 1973 and smells like it, too. My uncle's stuff was exactly what you'd expect. Books, VHS tapes, unopened mail, a fridge full of expired crap. Then I found the door. It was in the hallway upstairs. I'd passed by it 3 times before I noticed it. Not because it was hidden. It wasn't. But because it just didn't feel like a door. It looked like part of the wall. Same faded paint, same cracks. But when I ran my hand along the wall, my fingers tapped something hollow. There was no handle, no keyhole, just a faint seam in the wall, maybe the size of a closet. I pressed my palm against it, and it moved. A latch clicked from inside. The panel creaked open, revealing a narrow staircase going down. Not up, down, which made no sense because the main staircase led to the basement, and this door was on the 2nd floor, but I could feel the cold air coming from inside. And worse, I could hear something, a soft scraping, like nails on wood, slow, rhythmic. I should have closed the door right then and there, but curiosity is a bastard. I grabbed my flashlight and stepped inside. The stairs were steep. Each one groaned under my weight, but I kept going. There were no windows, no lights, just that sound, the scraping getting louder. When I reached the bottom, I realized I was in a room I never knew existed. It was tiny, maybe 8 feet by 8 feet. The walls were lined with old newspaper clippings, taped up haphazardly. Most were yellowed and torn. Every article had something to do with disappearances, missing kids, hikers gone without a trace. Some dated back to the 1950s, and in the center of the room was a wooden chair. Tied to the chair was a rope, and at the base of the chair, scratches, deep ones, like fingernails clawing at the floor. I stood there, frozen. My light flicked, just once, and for a split second, I swear to God, I saw something move in the corner, like a figure, thin, crouching. But when I turned the beam toward it, nothing was there. Then the door slammed shut behind me. The door slammed with this horrible finality, like it wanted me trapped. I spun around, flashlight trembling in my grip. "Hello?" I called out stupidly. My voice echoed, bouncing back too quick off the cramped walls. No response. I lunged for the door, tried to push it open, but it wouldn't budge. There was no knob, no latch on this side, just smooth, rotting wood. I felt around the edges, pressing, banging, even kicking, but it wouldn't move. And then I noticed the scraping had stopped. The silence was worse. I backed up to the chair, that cursed chair, and stared at the walls. That's when I noticed something I hadn't seen before. Every newspaper clipping, every single one, had red ink circles around the names. Not just random names. They were all first names only. Michael, Sarah, Ethan, Rachel. And then I saw mine. At the bottom right corner of the wall, barely clinging to the wallpaper, was a clipping from 2001. A small-town article about a boy who nearly drowned in a lake. I remember that. I was 6. My mom pulled me out just in time. I remember choking, gasping, coughing up water like I'd swallowed the whole lake. But the clipping called it a mystery rescue. It said a stranger pulled me out. A figure no one saw clearly. Someone no one could later identify. And there, underlined in red ink, Darren, age 6. That's me. That's my name, my age, my near death. What the hell was this room? I turned to the chair again and noticed something else. Something that made my stomach twist. A camera, old camcorder style, mounted on a tripod, pointed directly at the chair. Its red light was off, but the tape compartment was open, and inside was a tape labeled, "Watch If I'm Gone." My hands were shaking as I popped the tape out. My uncle's old TV was still in the bedroom upstairs, so if I could just get out. Then the scraping started again. This time it was closer. I froze. My flashlight flickered. Not off, just dimmer, like the batteries were dying, even though they were brand new. The scraping grew louder, and now I could tell it wasn't just scratching. It was movement. Something dragging itself across the floor. I backed into the wall, my breath caught in my throat. "Who's there?" I choked out, and then I heard it. A voice, a low, hoarse whisper. "You were saved, but not yours to keep." My flashlight died completely. I fumbled in my pocket for my phone. No signal. I turned the screen on just to get a bit of light, and in that moment, I saw it. A shape, crouched in the far corner of the room. Pale skin, stretched over 2 long limbs. No clothes. Its eyes weren't right. They were like melted glass. And its mouth. Oh God, its mouth was open too wide, its jaw unhinged, and from it came this gurgling growl that didn't sound human. I didn't think. I ran at the door full force, slamming my shoulder against it. Once, twice, 3 times. And then it opened. I stumbled into the hallway upstairs, tripping over my own feet, scrambling to slam the hidden door shut behind me. As I did, I swear I felt cold fingers brush the back of my neck. I locked it, somehow, even though there was no lock. I pushed a dresser in front of it and didn't look back. I sat on the floor of the hallway for nearly 20 minutes, just breathing, just trying to breathe. Eventually I got up, walked to the bedroom, shoved the tape into the VCR, and hit play. What I saw has burned itself into my brain. The footage was grainy. My uncle sat in the chair. Same one, same room. He looked younger, maybe 10 years ago. He was sweating, rambling. "Something came to me in the water," he said, staring into the camera. "Back in '75, I was dead, cold, drowned. I saw it under the ice. It touched me, brought me back, but it wanted payment." He shook violently, clawing at his arms. "It doesn't want all of you," he whispered. "Just a piece, a sliver, a name. It collects them." The tape skipped. New footage. A child now, maybe 9 years old, strapped to the chair, screaming, and standing behind him was that thing, the pale figure, watching, breathing, then black. I ejected the tape. Couldn't take more. Threw up right there on the carpet. I stayed the night in a motel. Didn't go back for any of my stuff. Didn't tell anyone what I found. But the story isn't over. Last night, back home in my apartment, I woke up at 3:12 a.m. Same time my uncle died. My bedroom window was open. It shouldn't have been. And in the corner of the room, scratches. 3 lines gouged deep into the floorboard, like something had been waiting. The scratches on my bedroom floor weren't there when I moved in. I live in a high-rise apartment, 15th floor. Windows don't even open all the way. But that night, it was wide open, freezing wind blowing in. And those marks, they weren't just scratches. When I got on my hands and knees to look closer, I realized something else. Each groove was a name, tiny, carved like with a needle. So small you'd miss it unless you were inches away. I read them one by one. Rachel, Michael, Darren. My name again, freshly cut. I closed the window, locked it, and dragged a chair in front of it. Childish, maybe, but I was scared. Not just creeped out. Scared. A kind of primal fear I hadn't felt since I was a kid, hiding under the blankets, thinking the thing in my closet could hear my heartbeat. I didn't sleep that night. The next day, I did something I never thought I'd do. I called a priest. He came over. Father Raymond, older man, kind face, clearly thought I was just mentally unraveling. But he was kind, didn't judge. I showed him the tape, the scratches, even told him about the hidden room. He watched it all, quiet the whole time. And then he said something I didn't expect. "These are not ghosts. This is older." He asked me if I'd ever been pronounced clinically dead. I told him yes. I was 6. The drowning. That's when he got pale, like truly afraid. He took out a worn book from his bag, Latin text, brittle pages, showed me a passage about ancient, water-bound spirits, entities that inhabit thresholds between life and death, some believed to mark those who are revived unnaturally, like claimed, not fully, just partially, enough to allow something access. According to the passage, if a soul is returned without proper cleansing or ritual, it's like leaving the door open behind you, and something can follow. Father Raymond said I was lucky to last this long. I asked him what the hell I was supposed to do. He didn't answer at first, just looked around my apartment, and then before he left, he handed me a vial of holy water, told me to pour it across all entry points, windows, doors, vents, and never speak the name carved into the wall of that hidden room. I told him there wasn't a name, just clippings, just mine. He nodded. That is the name. I followed his instructions, poured the water, taped the windows shut, even slept with the lights on for a week. Nothing happened until one night. I heard dripping. It was coming from the ceiling. I live on the top floor. The water stains spread fast. Within hours, it was a black, rotted blotch above my bed. I called maintenance the next morning. They said there was nothing above me. The roof was dry. The next night, I dreamed I was back in the room, the hidden one. But this time, I was strapped to the chair. I couldn't move, couldn't scream. The pale thing stood over me and whispered, "A debt returned is still a debt owed." When I woke up, my wrists had bruises. That's when I stopped sleeping. Things got worse. Lights flickered. The TV would turn on to static. Every mirror in my apartment cracked over the course of 3 days. No impact, no heat, just crack, one by one. I started seeing things out of the corner of my eye. Not full figures, just shadows, movement. But the worst part was the sound. That constant scraping, like something dragging a wet finger across the wall. Sometimes at night, I'd hear it whispering, not words, just this wet hiss, like breathing through gills. I moved out 3 weeks ago. I didn't take anything with me except my wallet and my phone. Left the lease, the furniture, even my clothes. Just walked out, never looked back. But that doesn't mean it's over, because yesterday I got an envelope in the mail, no return address. Inside was a clipping, a fresh one, from a small-town newspaper. No article, just the headline. Local boy, 6, rescued mysteriously from lake. No witnesses. And beneath it, circled in red ink, Jackson, not me. A new name, a new child. It's still collecting. This is not a ghost story. I wish it was. I think I was meant to die that day in 2001. I think something else intervened. Something no human can understand. And now, I carry its mark. I'm not the only one. If you're reading this and you've ever had a close brush with death, the kind where everyone said you were lucky, start listening. Listen when the lights go out, when the air goes cold, because it might still be watching. It doesn't forget. It just waits. I never planned on writing this. Hell, I never planned on doing what I did in the first place. But after months of insomnia, seeing his face every time I close my eyes, and waking up drenched in sweat, I think I owe it to myself, and maybe even the world, to finally tell someone. I don't know if this will be my confession or my last chance at feeling human again. Either way, what I'm about to write is all true. And no, I'm not looking for forgiveness, just silence. It happened in October last year. I was living in a quiet residential part of Maryland, working third shift as a security guard in an empty corporate office building. Nothing ever happened there. My life was bland, routine, the kind of existence where the days blend together and you start to forget what you even liked doing anymore. I'd spend 8 hours walking the same halls, staring into empty cubicles and flickering monitors, pretending like my presence actually mattered. Then one night, something snapped, and I don't mean in the horror movie way. No shadows crawling across walls or whispers in my ear. This was something else, something real. His name was Kevin. He was my neighbor, lived in the unit across from mine. We weren't friends exactly, but we had that awkward, hey man, relationship. He'd nod when we crossed paths in the parking lot, maybe comment about the weather or complain about the garbage pickup. Harmless guy, but lately he'd been off. Twitchier, nervous, paranoid, always glancing over his shoulder, locking and unlocking his car like 5 times in a row. I chalked it up to anxiety or drugs, maybe both. I didn't care, honestly. I had my own shit to deal with. But one night, October 19th, I came home around 4:30 a.m. after my shift and saw his apartment door wide open. No lights on, no sound. Just this yawning black hole of a doorway. I remember standing there, keys in my hand, staring. Something felt wrong, like really wrong. I should have just gone inside, should have ignored it. Instead, I stepped into his apartment. At first I thought maybe someone had broken in. The place was a mess. Drawers pulled out, cushions slashed, broken glass on the floor. But then I heard it, a wet, gurgling sound. Not from inside, from the backyard. Kevin had one of those tiny fenced-in patios that backed up to the woods. I stepped through the sliding glass door and saw him out there, kneeling in the dirt, covered in blood. I froze. He was digging like a fucking madman. Both hands, no shovel, just clawing at the ground with cracked nails and bleeding fingers. And beside him, half covered in soil, was a body, a real human body. Female, pale skin, dark hair, matted with blood. She was wearing a torn hoodie, arms twisted unnaturally behind her. Her eyes were open, staring right at me. I think I screamed, or maybe I didn't. I just remember Kevin looking up, panting and saying, "She tried to kill me, man. She broke into my place. I had to stop her. I had to." His voice was shaking, but his eyes, they were dead calm, like this was normal, like I should be helping. I should have called the cops, should have run. But instead I found myself kneeling next to him, helping him cover her up. My mind had gone blank. Maybe it was shock. Maybe it was the way he kept whispering, "Please don't tell anyone. Please don't let them find out." By sunrise, she was gone. Nothing but dirt and silence. And I helped. The next morning was a blur. I called out sick from work, sat in my kitchen with a cup of coffee I never drank, and just stared at the wall. Every few minutes I'd hear the dirt crunch under my fingernails when I rubbed my hands together. I scrubbed them raw in the shower. Didn't help. They still felt dirty. They still felt like they had her blood on them. Kevin never came out of his apartment that day. Curtains drawn, no movement. But around 8 p.m., I heard a knock on my door. Not frantic, just slow, deliberate. When I opened it, Kevin stood there, looking like shit. Bags under his eyes, lips cracked, shirt still streaked with dried blood that he clearly hadn't bothered to hide. He handed me a 6-pack and said, "Thanks for not saying anything. I owe you." I took the beer, nodded once, and shut the door. The guilt hit hard that night. I couldn't sleep. I kept picturing her face, how her mouth was slightly open, like she was about to speak. I started telling myself things. Maybe Kevin was right. Maybe she was trying to hurt him. Maybe it really was self-defense. But the more I repeated it, the less I believed it. Something about that scene, the way he buried her like an animal, the way he didn't panic, didn't cry. None of it felt like a man acting out of fear. It felt like a man doing something he'd already planned. Still, I stayed quiet for 3 days. On the 4th, I cracked. I told my friend Jared everything. We were out grabbing late-night food, and I just blurted it out between bites of a burger. He thought I was messing with him at first. Then he laughed. Then he stopped laughing. "You serious?" he asked, leaning in. "You actually saw a body? You helped bury it?" I nodded. "You're fucked, man. You realize that, right?" I did. I really did. Jared begged me to go to the police, or at the very least let him go. But I panicked, told him it would ruin my life, that Kevin might come after me, that we needed to be sure, that maybe I imagined it. I kept finding ways to convince myself it wasn't real, but it was real, and it got worse. That weekend, police showed up, not for me, for Kevin. A wellness check or noise complaint or something. I watched through my peephole as he calmly spoke to them on the front porch, smiling like he didn't have a corpse 6 feet under, just a few yards away. They left after 10 minutes. That's when I knew Kevin had done this before, because he was too good at pretending, too calm under pressure. And more than that, I started to notice something else. People started avoiding his building. Neighbors whispered when they passed by. Packages stopped being delivered to his door. I overheard someone in the laundry room say, "You know what they say about that guy in 2B, right?" Whatever Kevin had done, it wasn't just this girl. He was a fucking predator, and I had helped him. That night, I wrote it all down, every detail. I saved it in a password-protected file on my laptop. The digging, her face, the lies I told myself. It wasn't a diary, it was insurance. I knew if I ever disappeared, someone had to know. Because I started to suspect Kevin knew I was cracking. He'd knock on my door more often, ask if I wanted to come over for drinks. Once, he offered me a knife, said he didn't need any more. I stopped answering. Stopped going to work, stopped everything. But he didn't stop. He never stopped. 3 weeks later, I woke up to the sound of my front door creaking, not knocking, opening. I sleep with the chain lock on, always have. But that morning, the chain was dangling. The latch had been broken, cut, clean through, not busted by force. My heart dropped straight through my stomach. I reached for my phone, but it was gone. Not on the nightstand, not under the bed. I scrambled out of the sheets, looking around the apartment like a man possessed. Then I saw it, on the kitchen counter, my phone, neatly placed next to a cold cup of coffee I hadn't made, and beside it was a photo, printed, glossy. It was me, sleeping, taken from the foot of my bed. The timestamp read 3:13 a.m. It was 6:47 when I found it. Kevin had been in my room while I was sleeping, standing there long enough to take a picture and leave it behind like some twisted calling card. I vomited in the sink. I packed a bag, walked right out the front door, and drove 3 states over to my cousin's place in Indiana. I didn't say goodbye. I didn't tell my landlord. I left everything, furniture, mail, bills. I didn't care. I told my cousin I was having a mental breakdown, that I just needed space. She didn't press. She let me stay. For a few days, I slept with the lights on, checked the locks 5, 6, 7 times a night. Sometimes I thought I heard footsteps outside the window, but I kept telling myself I was just paranoid. Until one morning, I found a bag of fresh soil on the porch, same kind Kevin had used to cover the girl. No note, no sign of him. Just that. That's when I stopped sleeping altogether. I couldn't go to the cops, not without implicating myself. I'd dug the hole. I'd watched. I'd stayed quiet. But the guilt was starting to corrode something inside me. I wasn't just scared anymore. I was rotting from the inside out. Couldn't look in mirrors. Couldn't eat. Couldn't hear dirt crunching without breaking into a sweat. Eventually, I did the only thing I could think of. I confessed. Here, not my real name, obviously. I created a throwaway account, typed it all out in one go. No edits, no rewrites, just the whole ugly, filthy truth. A scream into the void, hoping someone would hear it, hoping someone would believe it. But no one did. It blew up, yeah. Got tons of upvotes. Comments like, "Great story," or "Creepy fiction, 10 out of 10. People treated it like entertainment. I wanted to throw up again, because the more people dismissed it, the more I realized he could do it again, and no one would ever believe it was real. Not even if I handed them photos, not even if I gave them names. Kevin is still out there. I don't know where he is now. I moved again last month. Haven't seen him since the soil bag. But I feel him. That kind of evil doesn't go away. It follows. It waits. It gets closer every time you start to forget. I don't sleep anymore. Not really. I keep a hammer by the bed, a hunting knife under the pillow. I bought a dog, big one, loud bark, but even he whimpers when someone walks too close to the door. Sometimes I wake up thinking I can hear the dirt being shoveled again. Sometimes I dream of her face, still half buried, her eyes open, accusing. Sometimes I think I deserve worse. So if you're reading this thinking it's just a story, go ahead. Believe what you want. But if you wake up one morning to a photo of yourself sleeping on your kitchen counter, run. I'm not looking for sympathy, and I'm definitely not asking for forgiveness. I need someone to know the truth before they finally find the rest of them. And maybe, if you're reading this, it'll make you think twice before trusting someone like me. They say some people are born broken, that their brains just come pre-wired wrong. Sociopath, psychopath, antisocial personality disorder. They have names for everything, but no label ever truly fit what's inside me. It's not an illness. I've never felt sick. It's more like a hunger, a need. I think I always knew I was different. I didn't cry when our family dog died. Didn't blink when I watched a classmate fall from the jungle gym in 2nd grade and crack his skull open. All the other kids screamed or cried. I just watched, curious. But it wasn't until I was 15 that I felt it. That rush, that high, and that first time. God, it was messy. Not like in the movies. I didn't plan it out. There was no stalking, no ritual, no fancy gloves. It just happened. His name was Brent. He was 2 years older than me. My sister's friend. Popular, loud, arrogant. The kind of guy who thought he was invincible because he could throw a football. He used to come over and flirt with her, pretend to be charming. But I saw the way he looked at me when no one else was watching. I was younger, smaller, quieter. I guess that made me invisible to him. Until the night of my sister's 17th birthday party. My parents were gone for the weekend, so she invited her friends over. Music, beer, some weed. Brent came too, of course. I stayed in my room most of the night, watching everything unfold from the hallway, like a shadow. He cornered me near the garage around midnight, smelled like tequila and cheap cologne, called me a creep, told me to stop staring at everyone like a fucking serial killer. Funny, right? I don't know what snapped. Maybe it was the way he grabbed my arm, or the way he laughed after pushing me. But the next thing I remember, I was standing over him, breathing hard, my hands wrapped around a tire iron I'd pulled from the garage wall. His face didn't even look human anymore, just pulp. I waited for the panic to come, waited to vomit, shake, cry, but nothing came. I just stood there, watching the blood seep into the cracks of the concrete floor. I felt warm, calm, complete, and that was when I knew. No one ever found Brent. I dragged his body into the woods behind our neighborhood and buried him beneath a dry creek bed that summer. Told my sister he probably ditched her for another girl. The police didn't look too hard. Teenage boys vanish all the time. But I couldn't stop thinking about it, reliving it, dreaming of it. And the next time, it was cleaner, smoother, like I'd learned something important. Her name was Lassa. She was a hitchhiker, maybe 19. Picked her up off I-75. Told me she was trying to get to Gainesville. Said her boyfriend ditched her at a gas station. She was skinny, with dirty blonde hair and a nervous laugh. Wore a purple backpack that jingled with keychains. I didn't feel anything for her. No hatred, no resentment. She was just available, an opportunity. That was enough. We never made it to Gainesville. I remember the exact moment she realized something was wrong. When I missed the exit, when the road signs started to thin out and the trees thickened. She asked me where we were going. I smiled. She reached for the door. I locked it. By the time I stopped the car, she was screaming. But out there, in the middle of the Ocala National Forest, no one could hear her. She fought hard, scratched my face, got her knee between my ribs. But I'd planned this time. Brought gloves, a tarp, a crowbar, a hunting knife. The way her body jerked under me as I cut her. It felt like electricity, like a spark burning through my bones. I buried her deeper, marked the spot with a half-buried stone, kept her purple keychain. I still have it. I should feel guilt, right? I've tried. God knows I've tried. I even saw a therapist for a few months when I was 19, but it didn't help. I lied through every session, told her I had anger issues, trauma. She gave me pills. I flushed them. There's something wrong with me. Or maybe not. Maybe I'm just what happens when nature wins over nurture. And it didn't stop there. I won't go into all of them yet. That's not the point of this post. I'm writing this because of last night. Because I think someone knows. And if they do, if they really know what I am, then I don't have much time left. I saw the note this morning. Slipped through the mail slot like an ordinary piece of junk mail. Plain white envelope. No name, no stamp. Just my address, scrawled in red pen. Not even fully legible, like someone wrote it with their non-dominant hand. Inside was a single photograph. A picture of the exact patch of woods where I buried Lisa. It wasn't a wide shot either. It was close up, framed precisely over the mound. You could even see the corner of the old tarp sticking out through the dirt. The photo was fresh. The light, the shadows, the angle. It was taken yesterday and taped to the back, like some twisted afterthought, was her keychain. The purple one. That keychain hasn't left the drawer beside my bed in 3 years. I froze. My fingers went numb just holding it. The air felt heavy, dense, like it was pressing against my lungs. Someone had been in my house. Not just someone who knew. I tore through every drawer, every cabinet, every hiding spot. Nothing else was missing. No signs of forced entry. But the drawer was slightly ajar, not how I left it. And that's when I noticed something even worse. The little flash drive sitting right beside where the keychain had been. It wasn't mine. I plugged it into my laptop like a fucking idiot. And there they were, photos, dozens of them, of me, in my car, at gas stations, at the drive-thru, walking home from the gym, getting coffee, burying Lisa, that last one. It was shot from the tree line. grainy but clear enough to see my face, the shovel, the blood on my sleeve. I don't know how long I stared at the screen. Minutes? Hours? My chest felt like it was going to cave in. Someone's been watching me, stalking me, cataloging me like an animal. And the worst part, I never noticed. I thought I was careful, thought I was smart. But someone out there is smarter. The only clue I had was a text message that came through half an hour later. "You're not the only one who likes to watch." That was it. No name, no number, just a spoofed burner. I called it, of course, but it just rang out, then disconnected. I tried to trace it, search the metadata on the photo. Nothing. They knew what they were doing. Now I'm sitting in my kitchen, every light in the house on, blinds closed, doors locked, staring at that flash drive like it might bite me. I don't know if this person wants to turn me in or if they want something else. Maybe they're like me. Maybe they've done things too. Or maybe they're playing a long game, building a case. Maybe they're a cop or a vigilante. Or maybe they just want to see what I'll do next. I haven't slept. I can't. Every time I close my eyes, I picture someone standing in the hallway, watching, breathing, waiting. They haven't contacted me again yet, but I know they will, and I think I'm starting to understand what this is. This isn't blackmail. It's a challenge, a game between monsters, and I've never turned down a game. It's been 6 days since I got the flash drive. I haven't left the house, not because I'm scared. I've moved past fear now, but because I'm preparing. Preparing for what? I don't know exactly, but I can feel it coming, like a storm rolling in behind the silence. The voice in my head, the one I used to try to drown out with meds and therapy, it's not whispering anymore. It's speaking in full sentences now, clear, focused, steady. And it's saying one thing: you're being hunted. But the strange part? I don't mind. In fact, there's something exhilarating about it, like being seen for the first time. Really seen. Not as the fake neighbor with the polite smile and clean haircut. Not as the quiet guy who bags his groceries and holds the door open for old ladies. But as me. The real me. The one who stood over Lassa's body with a hammer in his hand and didn't flinch. The one who stayed up after, not in guilt, but to replay it all in his mind like a highlight reel. The one who felt alive for the first time in years while burying her in the rain. Now someone else knows that me. They see me. And more than that, they might even understand. 2 nights ago, I got another package. No note this time, just a small wooden box. Inside, a lock of hair tied with twine, a flash drive, and a single latex glove. When I plugged the drive in, there was just one file, a short video. It was blurry. Night vision cam, maybe a GoPro, but the footage was unmistakable. A man, tied to a chair in a garage, his face bruised, gagged, eyes wild. The camera holder walks around him slowly, breathing heavy, calm. Then, without a word, they slit his throat. It wasn't quick, it wasn't chaotic, it was clinical, just like I did with Lassa. And that's when I realized I'm not being watched by a cop. I'm being recruited. This isn't blackmail. This is a confession, but not mine, theirs. Somebody's trying to tell me we're the same and you're not alone. I've been wondering all my life if there were more like me, if I was a mistake, a fluke of violence and trauma. But now I know I'm not unique. I'm just uninitiated. There's a whole world beneath the one you see. A network, or maybe even a cult. Killers who don't hide in the shadows because they're afraid. They embrace it, they celebrate it, and maybe I'm the newest member. Last night, I got another message. Not a text this time, a voicemail, distorted voice, like it had been processed through 5 layers of static. It said only one thing: you passed. Phase 2 begins tomorrow. Leave your door unlocked. That's it. And now here I am, sitting on the floor of my living room, door unlocked, waiting, not afraid, not even curious anymore, just ready. I don't know what phase 2 is. Maybe it's my death. Maybe it's my rebirth. Maybe someone's going to walk through that door and take me somewhere I'll never return from. All I know is, for the first time since Lisa screamed in my garage, I feel like I belong. If this post is still up tomorrow, maybe I'll come back and tell you what happened. But if not, maybe I finally found my people. This story was posted on Reddit 5 months ago by a user who has since deleted their account. The post was titled, "I've been hiding something for years, and I can't live with it anymore." I don't know if this is the right place to put this. I don't even know if I'll keep this post up after I hit submit. But for some reason tonight, I just can't shut my mind off. I keep hearing her voice. I keep smelling the damn paint thinner. Every time I close my eyes, I see the look she gave me right before it happened. I've been keeping this inside for 9 years, but now I'm not sure I can take it anymore. I grew up in a nowhere town in Missouri, the kind of place where everyone knows your dad's name, and you know who's cooking meth behind their trailer. My parents were factory people, blue-collar, worn hands, always tired. They didn't really care what I was up to as long as I stayed out of jail and brought home C's. I wasn't a bad kid. I just didn't fit in. I was always angry, always twitchy. Therapy was for coastal weirdos, my dad said. I had one friend growing up, Jay. He was the only person who didn't treat me like a freak. He lived a few streets over, and his mom worked nights, so we'd spend hours in his basement drinking stolen beers and talking about getting the hell out of town. We were 17 when it happened. There was this girl named Morgan. She moved to our school junior year. I don't know where she came from, but she was different. Not in a manic pixie dream girl way or whatever. She didn't try to be mysterious. She just was. She had this kind of quiet to her, like she was listening to the world and judging whether it was worth responding to. She smoked clove cigarettes, wore thrifted black boots, and carried a sketch pad with her everywhere. And for some insane reason, she liked me. Jay didn't get it. He never said anything, but I could see it in the way he acted around her. Like he was trying too hard, like she was a puzzle he couldn't solve. But Morgan, she just talked to me. I'd never met someone who actually wanted to know what was going on in my head. She'd sit with me behind the school and ask things like, "What do you think your life would be like if you were born rich?" Or, "Do you think guilt makes people better?" Stuff no one had ever asked me. We started hooking up after a few months. Nothing official. It wasn't love, not in the romantic movie kind of way. It was something else. Intense, fragile, addictive. But here's the thing about small towns. Secrets don't stay hidden for long. And I was stupid. I told Jay about it. I thought he'd be happy for me. I thought he was my friend. But something shifted. A week later, Morgan stopped answering my texts. She avoided me in the halls. No eye contact, no explanation, just silence. And Jay started acting smug, like he knew something, like he'd won. I didn't know what he said to her, but I had my suspicions. I confronted him one night outside the gas station. It was raining. I remember that because my shirt was soaked, and I was shaking, not from the cold, from rage. I asked him what he told her. He laughed, just laughed, and said, "You didn't really think she liked you, did you?" I snapped. I don't remember all the details. It's like watching a movie I saw once years ago. Blurry frames, out-of-order scenes. I remember grabbing the tire iron from my trunk. I remember his eyes going wide. I remember the sound, the horrible, wet crack, over and over and over, When it was done, I just stood there, soaked in blood and rain, with my hands trembling and his body sprawled on the gravel. I thought I was going to throw up, but instead, I felt calm. I drove his body to the old abandoned warehouse on the edge of town. I'd gone there with Morgan once just to smoke and watch the stars. It was barely standing. I found a barrel. I found paint thinner. I doused him and lit a match. The flames lit up the night like a second sun. I sat there for hours, watching it burn down to nothing. I kept thinking, this is it. It's over. No one will know. And for a while, they didn't. I told people Jay ran off. His mom said he'd been acting weird for weeks. He'd always talked about moving to California. No one questioned it. Morgan transferred schools a month later. I never saw her again. I went to community college, got a job, moved 2 states over, changed my number, buried it all. But then last year I got a message, an anonymous account on Facebook. No profile picture, no name, just a single message. You think it's gone, but it's not. I blocked it, told myself it was spam, but then I got a letter in the mail. No return address, just one line. You burned the body, but not the memory. I haven't slept right since. I don't know who it is. Maybe Morgan, maybe someone saw, maybe it's just my own guilt turning into something I can't outrun, but I can't carry this anymore. If anyone finds this post, if anyone cares, just know this. I'm not a monster. I was just a scared, angry kid who didn't know how to lose. And now I've lost everything. You burned the body, but not the memory. That line hasn't left my head for the past year. I see it when I'm brushing my teeth. I hear it when I shut the TV off and the room goes quiet. It lives under my skin, just waiting for night to crawl up my spine. And I can't tell if someone's actually messing with me, or if I'm doing it to myself. After that letter arrived, I tried to go on with life. I really did. I'd moved to a new town, neutral, nameless, forgettable. Got a job at a packaging warehouse, 12-hour shifts, low talk, high repetition, just how I liked it. Keep my head down, stay invisible. But everything changed after that letter. It wasn't just fear anymore. It was paranoia. Every knock on my door made my stomach flip. Every time a car slowed outside my building, I'd go to the window. Lights off, curtains parted, holding my breath like a deer in brush. Then came the second package. No return label, no name. Just a plain brown envelope slipped into my mailbox like any other letter. But when I opened it, my legs almost gave out. Inside was a Polaroid, a photo, burned around the edges. It was the warehouse, that warehouse, and in the center of the frame, barely visible in the char and soot, was something that made my blood run cold. It was Jay's watch. I remembered that stupid thing, the one he always wore, even when it didn't match his clothes. A thick leather-strapped watch with a cracked face. I'd thought it burned with him. I'd made sure of it. So how the hell was someone taking pictures of it now, 9 years later? I sat on the floor for what felt like hours, clutching that photo, every hair on my arms standing on end. It wasn't just guilt anymore. This was proof. Someone knew. And if they had this, what else did they have? That night I barely slept. When I did, my dreams were like crime scene footage. Charred limbs, melted skin, Jay's broken jaw hanging open like he was still trying to laugh at me. I woke up drenched in sweat, clawing at my sheets like I was trying to bury something under them. I tried going to the cops once just to test it. I walked into the station, asked if they ever looked into old disappearances in Missouri. The officer at the desk barely looked up, said I'd have to contact the county sheriff's department for that kind of thing. That was it. That's all it took for me to panic. I turned and left before they could ask any more questions. I could feel eyes on me the second I walked out. The third letter came a week later. This time, there was no photo. Just a typed sheet of paper, one sentence. Ready to confess? No threats, no demands, just that question. I didn't answer it. I didn't know how. Instead, I started drinking. Not a little, a lot. It helped. For a while. Made the guilt fade just enough for me to get through a shift. But the dreams got worse. I started seeing Jay in places he couldn't possibly be. Reflections in store windows, in the background of TV commercials, in crowds, always watching, always silent. One night, I woke up to the fire alarm blaring. My apartment was filled with smoke. I staggered out of bed and found the source. My oven was on, even though I hadn't used it in days. Inside it was another envelope, blackened at the corners. I didn't open it. I didn't need to. I packed a bag and drove. Didn't even turn off the lights. I just ran, slept in my car, ate fast food, changed motels every night. I started writing notes to myself. Stuff like, don't answer the door, check the locks twice, stop talking out loud. I kept trying to figure out who it could be. Morgan, but she was gone. I checked every social media account I could think of. No trace. It was like she never existed. I even wondered if it was Jay's mom. Maybe she never believed he ran off. Maybe she hired someone to follow me. But then, why wait 9 years? Why the games? Unless it wasn't someone. Unless it was just me. That thought hit hard. I hadn't talked to a real friend in years. I hadn't dated, barely made eye contact with anyone. I lived like a ghost, and maybe, just maybe, I was turning into one. Haunted by what I did. Maybe my guilt had taken on a life of its own. I tried writing everything down, just to make sense of it. Reconstructing the night, step by step. From the argument to the moment I saw the blood start pooling around Jay's ear, to dragging him into the trunk, the smell of the paint thinner, the weight of the match, the heat of the flames. I even wrote down things I might have missed, details I could have gotten wrong. Maybe someone did see me that night. A hiker, a kid, someone living off-grid in the woods near the warehouse. I started circling back, online message boards, cold case Reddit threads, looking for any mention of Jay, anything. And then I found it. Someone had posted a blurry photo in a thread about abandoned Missouri structures. It was the warehouse. In the comments, someone wrote, I swear I saw bones in there once. Like human bones. Not even joking. That post had been up for over a year. Hundreds of views. No responses. No investigation. Just forgotten. But I hadn't forgotten. And now I was sure someone was dragging it back up. Someone who wanted me to remember every detail. I started to wonder if the letters were even real. Maybe I mailed them to myself. Maybe I took the Polaroid. Maybe I went back there in a blackout. I don't know anymore. What I do know is that my hands still shake when I think about it. That every flame I see, a candle, a cigarette lighter, makes my heart stutter. And that Jay's face never really left me. I tried to justify it, tell myself it was self-defense, that I didn't mean to kill him. But that's not true. I wanted to hurt him. I wanted to erase the smirk. And I did. I erased all of him. Or, I thought I did. The thing about confessions is, once you say it out loud, it owns you. There's no taking it back. No pretending it was just a thought or a mistake. And once I crossed that line, there was no turning around. The final envelope came on a Tuesday. I'd been sleeping in a storage unit outside Wichita. Paid in cash, used a fake name. No phone, no credit cards. I was invisible, or so I thought. The envelope was shoved under the roll-up door. Bright yellow this time, like someone wanted to make sure I saw it. Inside, a single flash drive. No note, no label. Just a small black USB, still warm in my hand. I borrowed a laptop from the public library, paranoia be damned, and opened it in the back corner, where the cameras didn't reach. It took a minute to load. Just one file, a video, title, Watch This Now. Move. I clicked. No sound, just grainy handheld footage. Nighttime. The camera slowly approaching a building, one I hadn't seen in years, but knew instantly. The warehouse, burned, half collapsed, eaten by vines. Whoever held the camera walked carefully, like they were familiar with the layout. Step by step, through the warped front door, panning around debris and ash. Then, the camera stopped. It tilted down. There, in the beam of the flashlight, was a shallow pit. Charred earth, the kind that used to hold something, and next to it, a hand, just a hand, dried, curled, half buried in soot, still wearing Jay's watch. The screen went black. Then, a second later, in white text, "We know." That's it. No context, no voice, just that brutal declaration. I slammed the laptop shut and sat frozen. The librarian was watching me from the desk, her mouth slightly open like she was going to say something, then thought better of it. I walked out, back to the car, back to nowhere, and for the first time, I truly understood. I wasn't running from people. I was running from time, because it always catches up, and now it had. I started writing everything down again, but this time not as notes or memories. This time as a letter to the world, or the cops, or just anyone who might read this and understand. Here's the truth. I killed my friend, not in rage, not in panic, in cold calculation. Jay crossed a line. He mocked my sister's death. He stole from me. He pushed every button I had and laughed the whole way through. That night, I asked him to meet me at the warehouse, said I had something for him. He brought beer, smiled like always, and I brought a tire iron. It didn't take long. One hit, then another, then 5 more, until his skull caved, until the laughter stopped. I dragged him to the center of the room, drenched the floor in paint thinner and kerosene. And I watched. I watched until the smell turned sweet, until I couldn't breathe, until fire danced like demons on the walls. I waited until it was done, and I walked away. No one saw me, no cameras, no witnesses. I vanished, but not really, because part of me stayed in that room, in that grave. I thought I could live with it, thought I could build a life around the silence. But silence isn't empty. It echoes, and in that echo, Jay's voice lives, not yelling, not laughing, just whispering. They came for me 3 days after the flash drive. 2 men, clean suits, unmarked car. They didn't knock. They waited until I stepped out for cigarettes. That's when I saw them, leaning on the hood, calm, patient, like this was just procedure. "Come with us," one said. I didn't ask why, didn't argue, just got in the car. They didn't take me to a station, or an office, or even a jail. They took me to a small, dimly lit building in the woods. Concrete walls, 1 steel table, no windows, just me and a recorder. "Tell us," they said. So I did. I told them everything, about Jay, about the murder, about the fire, about the letters, the photos, the dreams. When I was done, they looked at each other. One of them nodded. "You're not the first," he said. I blinked. "What?" He tapped the recorder. "Others have come forward. Same story, same location, same exact details." That didn't make sense. "There was only one Jay," I said. "Was there?" He stood. "Or are you just remembering what we want you to remember?" They left me in that room for hours. No sound, just a red light blinking on the recorder. That's when I started to wonder. What if there wasn't a Jay? What if I never killed anyone? What if these memories were implanted, or worse? What if I created them myself to cope with something else? I don't know what's real anymore. I don't know if I'm in a facility, or a prison, or just in my own head. But they gave me this one thing, this chance to write it all out. They said I could post it. One final confession. So here it is. To whoever reads this, if you remember Jay, if you knew him, tell someone. Because I don't think I made him up. I feel him, every night, standing at the edge of my bed, burnt, silent, still wearing that damn watch, ticking like a countdown. And I think my time is almost up.